This video is dedicated to Christian Roberts. Christian, thank you. Kodama of the East Tree partnered with Sakashima of 1,000 Faces versus Gyruda Doom of the Depths, Mathas Fiend Seeker, and then some more partners, Krark the Thumbless and Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. That is way too many lands with hardly any ramps, so we will take our free mulligan on that into no lands, and yep. I was going to actually keep that because whenever you mulligan on Magic Online, you get punished for it. So let's go down a card here. Okay, that's actually half decent if we can get the Rhystic Study down on turn 3, which we should be able to. Let's keep that one. And we'll get rid of the island there, I think is safe. Another tap land for us. Let's just... I think we can start things off. I think what we need to do is going for an untapped land. We do need to be careful with these tap lands, so... yeah, maybe getting rid of the island wasn't the best idea after getting rid of Simic Growth Chamber, but let's go for Tropical Island. And maybe we're not going to be able to go after 3 visits on turn 2. Another land and a Chrome Mox from the Gyruda player, and they put a counter Squall under that. Then go for Bruvak, the Grandiloquent. Chord of Calling for us, we just have to go in for the Simic Growth Chamber. The first commander of the game coming in, Krark. Yeah, the fast start continues. Dark Ritual, and this probably takes them into Gyruda because they do have 6 mana available. Down to 3 cards in hand though. We all mill 8, get rid of some lands for us, a Swiftfoot Boots, Cloudstone Curio, Avenger, Rampaging Baloths, Arcane Signet, and an Ugin. There's just a load of lands, a Brightstone Ritual, and some rocks. And then there is Read the Bones, Bloodfast, Scorpion God, and some lands. Enlightened Shooter has been cast at some point, I think. Nope, must have just been milled. Anyway, we are eating a point of damage from the Bruvak, and they got themselves into Deadeye Navigator, so if someone's going to point removal, they better do it quickly. I would really like to get the Rhystic Study down, but we might just have to hold up Beast Within. Yeah, does the Mardu player have removal is the question. They didn't have any removal through all of that, and neither did this player, so are we going to have to play the control game? We'll let the Gyruda player stay the threat. I'm going to be greedy here and go for Rhystic Study. I don't like the idea of dealing with our opponent's board for our opponents so that they can pull ahead while we're behind. And there we go, terminate on 2 Gyruda, so I'm glad that we went for that line of play. So they should be a million miles away from Gyruda at that point because they just decided to throw it out straight away. A Ponder from the Is It player, and they decide to pay into that. Then get a copy of the Ponder, then casting a Serum Visions after that, and we will draw into a forest. So they go up to 9 cards in hand, and holding back their Krark. Then continuing to hold up mana over here, so I'm assuming that this is your typical Mardu removal tribal deck. Mind Stone from the Dimir player, and they do get themselves into a black land. Then Bruvak swinging in at us again. Alright, Ramunap isn't terrible if we can... yeah, we need multiple land drops a turn, really. We go 3 visits here. We'll shock in a Breeding Pool, and then play a forest, and we'll go for that Ramunap. I want to hold off on the Field of the Dead for as long as possible, because I think everyone's going to turn their eyes towards our direction. If we do get down that Field of the Dead and Gaia's Cradle straight away. Looks like there might be counter magic held up here because they are holding priority, but allowing it to hit play. Oh, Krark's found one of his thumbs here. If you would flip a coin, flip 2 instead, and that is getting a negate, so they did have counter magic. Although negate couldn't have gone onto Ramunap. Would have waited for the Rhystic Study to resolve first because they could have gotten them to pay for that, but deciding to pay for it anyway. At least the Dimir player's down to 1 card in hand. Then swinging the Krark in at the Mardu player. Okay, final payment. That goes on to our Ramunap. So everyone seems to be using all of their cards really swiftly here. You see that a lot if you play against randoms on Magic Online. They're very free-flowing with the removal and counter spells and stuff. And then in the mid to late game, they don't have anything else to do anyway, giving us a Fierce Guardianship. And then playing their Mathas into Rhystic Study, which I'm sure they'll pay for here. So everyone at the very least doing a good job of paying for the study. No, allowing us to get into Exploration, which would have been really good with Ramunap. So I'm assuming that they've got a Swords or something like that. No, instead going for Wayfarer's Bauble, giving us another card. So getting impatient with the study, I think. And that draws us into a Forest, which we can make use of with Exploration. I want to ramp well past 6, so that when we get Kodama down, we can actually get a little bit of value from it at the very least. Now Lightning Greaves from the Dimir player. Still a couple of mana away from their Gyruda. Then protecting their Bruvak with the Lightning Greaves. And now swinging in the 5/5 at Mathas. They wanted to hold up 4 mana for something apparently. Because they let us draw the Sky Shroud claim, so I think we just continue to ramp, or try to. Yep, there's Solemn Simulacrum. So let's drop the Exploration. Then we've got a Forest. We could go... Yeah, let's try the Sky Shroud claim here. And that goes through. So, do we want to go for the Solemn Simulacrum? Do we want to go Mana Vault into Solemn Simulacrum? This is what comes of not getting down your tap lands early on. Yeah, let's get down Mana Vault, and then it can be Solemn Simulacrum. And I keep forgetting to put some snow-covered basics in here because it does switch on Field of the Dead much better. Need to remember to do that after this gameplay. Anyway, grab ourselves an island. We'll go for Field, and then we're a couple of different named lands away from going in for Field of the Dead, but we will just leave it there, I think. Desperate Ritual now from the Izzet player, who hasn't done the best job of ramping, paying for the study again. And that goes back to hand, so that was 3 mana for nothing. And that's the risky run with Krark. Sensei's Divining Top from Mathas, and they allow us to get into Dryad of the Elysian Grove with that. Yeah, really good that they got rid of the Ramunap because we are missing it here. There's lots of ways to make multiple lands a turn, but there's not so many ways to get cards out of the graveyard, or get lands out of the graveyard. Mathas comes in towards us, we'll just allow it. And then a bounty counter goes on the Krark the Thumbless, and now it's a clone from the Dimir player, paying for the study. And that comes in as a copy of Solemn Simulacrum. And they do decide to pair the Deadeye Navigator with the clone, and not holding up the clone mana, just going for flickering it now. So they're just concentrating on ramping and getting their Gyruda out again. Yep, they go for another Solemn Simulacrum. Alright, I don't think it's time to untap the Mana Vault yet, so we'll say no to that. Wanted to use that to get down our commander really, but I don't hate the fact that we got an extra land out last turn. I think we actually trigger Field of the Dead this turn, don't we? It's 7 or more lands, yeah, so we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, yeah, so we can trigger it this turn. Now a Worldly Tutor in hand. I was contemplating going for Nyx Bloom Ancient with this. We can't really abuse our Kodama at the moment, unfortunately. So maybe we go for the Ancient Green Warden. I think that might be a good idea. Yeah, so we'll go like that. X is 6 on the Chord of Calling. I'm playing it into the blue mana over here, but I wouldn't have thought they'd have too much counter magic there because you don't want to cast counter magic and have it double up. And you certainly don't want to risk it getting bounced back to your hand. We could always go for Consecrated Sphinx instead, actually. Is that the smarter play here? I think it might be, actually. Yeah, let's try and refill our hand with Consecrated Sphinx. I was going to go for the Ancient Green Warden and try and make a bunch of lands, but we don't have either the Tatyova or the Aesi. Oh, Aesi isn't in the deck. I thought I added that. Anyway, Consecrated Sphinx. Play the Gaia's Cradle, which triggers Field of the Dead. And then do we want Dryad of the Elysian Grove? I think I would rather hold up the Fierce Guardianship and the Worldly Tutor. So, yeah, maybe we just leave it at that. Hopefully the Mardu player doesn't have a means of dealing with our stuff here. Well, we're going to draw at least 2 cards from the Sphinx, so that almost makes it worth it. And there we go, getting into Tatyova and some lands. Then Phantasmal Image. And paying for the Rhystic Study. We've got a Beast Within for that at least. Now a Crackling Doom from our opponent. Each opponent sacrifices the creature with the greatest power. I think we want to try and keep our Fierce Guardianship. And we can always go for Beast Within onto our opponent's Consecrated Sphinx. So let's go for that. And then Phantasmal Image will come down. And it might mean that we just draw a hell of a lot of cards, bouncing Consecrated Sphinxes backwards and forwards. Anyway, let's go for the Worldly Tutor now, because we've got that floating mana. We might be able to use the untapped land for something else. Let's grab the Ancient Green Warden, I think is okay. Let's grab the Scoot Swarm, because we can recover from a board wipe okay with Scoot Swarm, and the Scoot Swarm tokens, they are 3 CMC tokens, as we found out in the last game that I played with the patrons, and unfortunately that file got corrupted. It was a really good showing for this deck, so I was, pretty upset about that. The tokens are 3 CMC tokens, so with Kodama, you can get the 3 CMC cards for free into play, so if we made landfall, got a Scoot Swarm, we could then cast a Nature's Law for free, for instance, or a Beast Within, or a Dryad of the Elysian Grove, so yeah, Scoot Swarm, pretty crazy in this list. Anyway, we'll draw with the Consecrated Sphinx, and yeah, here we go. I think we are okay to just go nuts here, because as many cards as we'll put in the Izzet player's hand, we've got way more mana than they do, so we're not going to draw our deck, but I'm quite happy to draw a lot of cards here. Alright, there's a mana drain, I like that, and we've got some fast mana. Teferi's Ageless Insight, I don't think we're going to need. Let's carry on a little bit. Go down to about 40 cards in the library and see how we feel after that. And the Izzet player decided to tap some mana there and then untap, and now they are tapping again. Going for Snap. Return a creature to its owner's hand. Well, I think we've done quite well there. I imagine they pay for the Rhystic Study. Oh, and did the Snap go back into their hand? So yeah, I think that was a fail for them anyway. Not having the best of luck with Krark over there. In my experience, or not experience, but in my thoughts with this, you want to be playing cheap burn spells, because you won't mind as much if they get bounced back to hand. You want a lot of artifact ramp as well. Anyway, we will draw with the Rhystic Study, our opponent, allowing us to draw with that, so that it triggers their Consecrated Sphinx, getting to some more ramp. So it might be worth us going for Time Spiral next turn to get rid of a bunch of cards from their hand, depending on what we can get going, of course. Yeah, I think Kodama getting all these lands into play is going to be crazy enough as it is, so let's just say no there. We'll say no to a bunch of these now and hope that our opponents don't scoop. I am up against some randoms here, so we don't want them to scoop. Now, the Izzet player has a bunch of triggers to click through as well, and he's continuing to draw cards. We're just saying no to all of the Consecrated Sphinxes now. Might be that the blue player has a Time Spiral or something anyway, so they can force us to discard. Now then, the Mathas player can get on with his turn, and targeting our Consecrated Sphinx. It's noteworthy that they could have targeted this to get rid of it if they wanted to. I mean, I think it's the lesser of two evils to put a bounty on this, try and encourage someone to get rid of it. Consecrated Sphinx is triggering again, and the Izzet player deciding to draw with it. I wouldn't have thought there'd be a combo they could go for with that much mana, but maybe there is. Might just see Gyruda, and we do. Don't think I'm all that worried about Gyruda. All I really care about is not losing our hand at this point, really. Deciding to draw a card with the Rhystic Study. So they're leaving a land up for some reason, and that triggers the Consecrated Sphinx. They continue to draw their 49 cards in hand. We've got 25. Then we'll all get milled for 8 again, and we lose a counterspell, Oracle of Muldaya, Sylvan Library, Lightning Greaves, Boundless Realms, some good cards going down here. Scapeshift, Pongify. I think we'll be alright though. Over here there was Seething Song, a Signet, Mana Crypt, Chain Lightning, Rite of Flame, and a Mind's Desire, so a Storm deck seemingly over here. And then what have we got from the Mardu player? Wear and Tear, Fumigate, Hero's Downfall, yeah, so it's removal tribal, as you would think. Revel in Riches, a Vindicate. I don't know if they've got all that much to choose from there with the Gyruda. Maybe they grab one of their own things. They've got, looks like they've made Clone Tribal. Yeah, they've got Thassa, Clever Impersonator, Vizier of Many Faces, Siren's Ruse is in there. Jingataxius, that is something to worry about. Can they go for Jingataxius? I think they might be able to. Yes, it's even CMC, so they can go for Jingataxius if they want to. We might have to go for Beast Within onto that. Hopefully they don't drop a land. Okay, doesn't seem as though they went for anything with the Gyruda there. I think they could have gone for the Jingataxius, couldn't they? Oh, maybe not. We draw at the beginning of the turn as usual, and we trigger the Consecrated Sphinx. Alright, we've only got 18 cards left in the library, but we do have Echo of Eons, which might be useful. I think we get straight into our commander. We should be able to play a heap of lands this turn, and we've got Counter Magic backup as well. So then we can go for the Scoot Swarm, and that will trigger Kodama, and Kodama can get us into a fetch, and here we see the craziness of Kodama and Scoot Swarm. We get a Field of the Dead trigger, which will make a land for us off of a zombie. Scoot Swarm will make an insect here. Will it make a copy of itself? Yes, makes a copy of itself. The Mardu player is holding up priority over there. But as we can see, comes down as a copy of the Scoot Swarm. Alright, and now a Gut Shot. Where's that going? 1 damage to any target. Let's see if they get a copy of that. Okay, they do get a copy of that, so 1 goes onto the Scoot Swarm there. It won't show me where this one's going for some reason, but I assume it's going on the different Scoot Swarms. So let's just crack the Verdant Catacombs now, and that will instantly replace the 2 Scoot Swarms that are going to go down. Burst Lightning as well. So we'll see if they get a copy of the Burst Lightning. Yeah, now having better luck. So that is... yeah, so that is copying... yeah, do I really want to use a Mana Drain on that? Not really, but we'll use Mana Drain on that Burst Lightning. And they are tapped out now, so hopefully no one else can do anything. The Mardu player might be able to. If we save at least 1 Scoot Swarm, we can keep going. So the copy of Burst Lightning will get rid of the original Scoot Swarm. We'll draw some cards here with the Rhystic Study. Oh, and they've only got 3 cards in the library over here because they've been so greedy with the Consecrated Sphinx, so let's see if they continue to draw. I don't think they are doing. Let's start saying yes to our Consecrated Sphinx again, because we'll try and go off this turn. Ah, and there we go, Mana Crypt, that's what I was fishing for, so we'll start saying no again. Because I forget we're only at 15 cards as well. Forgot about the mill from before. Now the Verdant Catacombs will resolve. And how many lands have we got left? After all that, we've got a couple of islands, a Waterlogged Grove, a Boro. Yeah, so we can only rely on blue fetches, which is noteworthy. But anyway, that enters. Field of the Dead will enter with it, or it will trigger. The Scoot Swarm triggers again. Kodama will allow us to throw a island into play because we want to trigger the Scoot Swarm again. Once again, triggering all of this stuff. Yeah, we don't want to draw any more cards with something like the Tatyova, do we? So let's just get lands into play here, and we'll get as many Scoot Swarms as we can. And as the Scoot Swarms double and triple in size, or in quantity, every time we make a land, it just triggers even more Scoot Swarms. Yeah, so we'll continue to do it here. Don't want to go too crazy so that we don't crash the client, but we'll see what happens. This is pretty much what happened in the last game, and I've been trying my damnedest to recreate it. We'll go for the Refuge. Then the Flooded Grove. Just getting all of our lands into play at this point. Yeah, and then just 1 more land in Yavimaya Coast, and we can start playing some of these small CMC permanents that are in our hand off of the Scoot Swarms. And we'll see how many Scoot Swarms we end up with as well. Let's get down a Sol Ring with that. Does it matter? Yeah, it's just low CMC stuff that we can get. Yeah, so we'll just go for the Sol Ring there. And with each Scoot Swarm trigger, we get to play these permanents. So we'll get down Mana Crypt, a Signet, go for Dryad of the Elysian Grove. The Talisman can go down as well. And then let's go for the Reclamation Sage. I don't think there's anything we're too bothered about grabbing with that. Let's just make it the Lightning Greaves, I think. And then I don't think Eternal Witness matters if we're just going to shuffle everything, but we might want to cast something before the shuffle. Yeah, maybe we can go Raminat. Oh, actually, we can get Ugin the Spirit Dragon. Should be able to cast that easily enough. Okay, now we've run out of low CMC permanents to cast, so we just have to say no to a bunch of Kodama triggers because we can't auto-no on Magic Online, unfortunately, and we might break the client here anyway. But you get the idea. We get a bunch of Scoot Swarms into play, and then we've got Concordant Crossroads, and then we can either buff them all with the Wild Speaker instant 5 mana that I forget the name of, or maybe we can just go wide on all of our opponents straight away. Another thing you could do through all this is go for the typical Labman win as well. Yeah, we could probably grab Cloudstone Curio and bounce the Prime Speaker Zagana over and over again and replay it and just keep drawing into cards. Assuming that we have the mana for it, which we probably would at this point. I think we'd only need to cast the Prime Speaker Zagana a couple of times to draw our deck, because we've got 14 left in the library. So there we are, getting down towards the bottom of the stack eventually. Huge thank you to my opponents for playing it out. They're being very, very patient here. Gut Shot will finally resolve, or the copy of it will resolve. We'll draw into a card with that Rhystic Study, assuming that they don't pay for it. I don't think they can. Yeah, they are tapped out. And they're down to one card with Consecrated Sphinx, so they better not draw here. Yep, deciding not to. Okay, so now we can still cheat some things into play before we go for the, before we go for the wheel. Let's get down the Ugin. You want to start with the highest CMC first, with Kodama in play. So we'll get down Ugin, the Spirit Dragon, and that will allow us to cheat in the Ashaya, I think. Might not be a clever idea, actually, because now every creature we play is going to do that. I just caught myself doing that at the last second. Ugh. Yeah. Well, in paper, you know that you can do this, but on Magic Online might not be the most intelligent idea. The problem now is that all of our creatures are lands, thanks to, where is it, our non-tokens are anyway. Yeah, so each of our creatures entering will trigger landfall, which will trigger the Scoot Swarm, so we probably just broke the client. Yeah, I probably should have put the Nissa into play first, but you get the idea here anyway. Maybe we could go for Prime Speaker Zagana from here and try and draw into the Concordant Crossroads and go wide on everyone. I think that would be the plan here. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge stack to click through again. Huge apologies to my opponents. I didn't really think that through. I'll try my damnedest not to play any creatures after this. None of this would be a problem if Kodama would let us auto-no, but to be honest, even if we did auto-no on Kodama, which we're not allowed to do, but even if we did do that, it would definitely break the client. The only thing not breaking it here is the fact that it's getting a break. For each Scoot Swarm trigger, we have to manually say no to Kodama. At the end of this game, I'm probably going to take the Scoot Swarm out because it just does this. And huge props to my opponents, but it takes forever and a day. I think I've been playing by myself for the past 20 minutes or so, 15, 20 minutes. So, yeah, I think we have to take it out. But if this is something that you feel as though you can do in paper and you can work out the maths with it, then maybe a Chroma's Memorial or the Crashing Drawbridge, something like that would be a good idea. But I can't play any creatures at this point because it will it'll just do all that again. What I would like to do really is play Prime Speaker Zagana, maybe cheating Tatyova as well. Is that a May ability with Tatyova? No, it isn't. So probably just safer to go Prime Speaker Zagana and get into one of our win conditions from here, namely being the Concordant Crossroads in this instance. So we don't want to make lands. We don't want to play any creatures. Let's in that case, there's only a finite number of things we can do. Let's go for the Great Henge. And that will, very carefully, allow us to cheat in the Nissa Vital Force. Then we can untap. We'll untap the Gaia's Cradle. Turning it into a creature's a bit risky. Our opponents may well win from here because we can't go in for any kind of win without crashing the client. So let's go like that. And that is 94. So we've got 94 creatures in place. So I think that's enough for us to go wide on our opponents, but we're not going to, like I said. Let's go Beast Within onto that Consecrated Sphinx. And that will force our opponent to sacrifice it, which fizzles our Beast Within, but that's alright. Then we can go Nature's Claim. We'll do it onto the clone over here. And that will allow them to draw a card, which will allow us to draw a couple of cards. Yeah, might as well. 11 left in the deck. Alright, there's a Time Twister. Nykthos, we can't play any lands, like I said. Let's plus on Ugin, getting rid of Mathas. Yeah, it's bugging me that we can't draw into a Wink on here, but Magic Online won't allow it, like I said. Let's activate the Flash Land before we untap it. Then we'll go for Time Spiral. And we might be able to draw into a win condition because we've got Consecrated Sphinx. So that is 7 cards per opponent we've got. Maybe we go Ageless Insight first. Yeah, let's go for that. That enters and triggers Kodama. We could get the Nykthos into play, but like I've said a million times, we're going to break the client if we're not careful. So now it is time for Time Spiral. And even if this doesn't go through, we can always just go Time Twister or the other one that's in here, Echo of Eons. Yeah, Echo of Eons. Just so that we don't end up decking ourselves, that's all. The Mardu player continuing to hold up priority over there. Generous gift coming from the Mardu player. What is that being pointed at? Client won't show us. It is being pointed at Krark. Surprisingly, not being pointed at any of our stuff. We draw into some stuff. There is the Concordant Crossroads. Typical. Hopefully we draw into it again here, because it's about to get shuffled. When Krark dies, each opponent draws a card and gains 2 life. We'll be forced to draw a couple of cards here. Hopefully we don't regret putting that Teferi's Ageless Insight into play. Say no to the Sphinxes. And there's our mana doublers. Was looking for those before as well. So a lot of the things that we needed were on the bottom, really. Oh, and what am I thinking? We've got Flash, haven't we? So we could play that at Flash speed. Ugh. Yeah, that's exactly why I did this and completely forgot about it. Oh well. Hopefully the Mardu player will do something here so we can respond, because I've already passed priority now. Nope, it all goes through. We go up to 47 in the library. Let's untap Gaia's Cradle, and then as many blue lands as we can, although they're all blue lands at the moment, aren't they? Okay, so per card that our opponent drew, we get to draw 2 if we want to. So let's search for that Concordant Crossroads again, and there we go, we draw into it straight away. So I'm just going to draw a few more cards, and there we go. That is a counter spell that we might be able to make use of. Let's go for a mana drain as well, just in case. I think we've got it here. Yeah, probably do with the Return of the Wild Speaker that I was referencing before. And now we've got counter magic and mana drain in hand. So I think we are safe to go from here. Back to 15 cards in the deck. Okay, so very carefully need to not play a land here. Where is the Concordant Crossroads? There it is. Very slowly move around my hand. Don't want to click a land. Drop the Concordant Crossroads. We've got counter magic backup if anyone can try and remove it. The Mardu player spins the top. And that lands Kodama, allows us to cheat in something for free. I'm not even going to... I don't think there's any permanent that we can get in. I mean, it's either a land or a cheap creature like Birds of Paradise. Certainly not going to do that. I'm amazed the client has held up as well as it has. So then we go Return of the Wild Speaker. Non-human creatures we control get +3/+3 until the end of the turn. I think we've got enough damage anyway, but we'll just go for this, just to make sure. So there we go, saving the trouble of us swinging in. The Dimir player goes down. Yeah, let's just swing in from here. We'll leave our 77 unspent green mana alone. So each of our Scoot Swarms are 4/4s. So we'll take all of them in there. All of those in there as well. And this really is an overrun of Scoot Swarms. Massive thank you to my opponents for playing this out. There were no patrons on when I asked everyone to play, so it's great that we've been able to rely on at least, well, all of our randoms here. No shame in the Demir player deciding to scoop it up. And I've been keeping a slight eye on the chat, and they've been great sports about it. There's been no saltiness or anything. So we'll just swing our tokens in. For the fun of it, we'll see how much of a life total we can get them down to. And hopefully the client doesn't crash here. We've got 5/5 zombies, 4/4 insects, and again a massive thank you to my opponent. The elephant blocking, ever defiant. The Is It player is over there. Alright, and there we go. Massive thank you to my opponents there. Minus 212. Mentir. Intolerable was the exact opposite. Very good players that we played against here. Down to minus 144, and then Premium Dinosaur decided to scoop when they saw the Concordant Crossroads, which is fair enough. Again, I'll say it 100 times. Big thank you to my opponents for playing that out, because that was just a big fat solitaire game. And it's not always fun to just sit there and watch your opponents play, but maybe our opponents got some enjoyment out of playing that one out. Hopefully you all got some enjoyment out of watching the edited version, in which I don't just click through no for half an hour. Be sure to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe. Share the video with your friends if you did enjoy it. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching. And they even voted me the best player, so very kind-hearted individuals there. Thank you for watching.